what you want to say to a group of people like yourselves on a night like this, and you really want it to be just right. But it's really very simple. I'm the mother of a 15-year-old son who has a life-threatening disease. And I want you to hear my story. But before I do, we're going to show a short video of my son Wells and his journey with cystic fibrosis. Mother of 3 amazing boys. My oldest son Stuart is a senior at the University of South Carolina. Chase is a freshman here at UNC. And Wells is a freshman in high school and lives daily with cystic fibrosis. Next week, I'll be celebrating my 25th wedding anniversary with my high school sweetheart, Perry, who is certainly my rock on this challenging journey with cystic fibrosis. The year was 2000, and I was truly living the American dream. I had an adoring husband and 3 beautiful blonde-haired, blue-eyed boys. But on October 18th of that year, things changed drastically when my son Wells was diagnosed at 3 weeks of age and became one of 30,000. I remember that day in that cold, sterile hospital room. And I remember thinking that all of my hopes and dreams for my 3rd son were gone. And I remember looking at that doctor and I uttered, "Is he going to die?" I've come a very long way since that day. And I now know that cystic fibrosis is all about living, not about dying. But part of my idyllic life in 2000, it didn't place me standing here in front of you guys, sharing my story about cystic fibrosis. I didn't think I would be an advocate for those with CF, or that I would spend countless hours on a computer researching a disease that I fear may take my son away from me way too early. I didn't plan to become a mean enforcer of treatments, therapies, and medicines, a nurse in my own right, or attempt to teach school subjects that I really should remember, but I can no longer. Looking at Wells, most would never know that he is living with this devastating disease. I worry daily what irreversible damage is being caused to his lungs. CF is a very ugly and demanding disease. Currently, Wells is on 13 different medications a day. Hours every day on the vibrating vests and inhaled nebulized treatments help clear the glue-like mucus away from his lungs in hopes of preventing lung infections. Time in the hospital and with IV antibiotics through PICC lines to treat lung infections, as well as time spent doing therapy, are all very valuable time spent away from school, his friends, and his family. But Wells, he's one heck of a kid, for those of you who don't know him. He has an amazing spirit and a smile that just won't disappear. He's an incredible athlete and constantly surrounds himself with supportive friends. He's accepted the challenges of CF head-on and has taught us, as parents, how to be better, stronger people by the way he handles his illness with such tenacity. He never, ever lets cystic fibrosis hold him back. I've been sharing my story since Wells was diagnosed. It isn't always pretty. It usually is raw and real, with no pretenses, and I'm always emotional. I've always been frightened about cystic fibrosis. I think any of us would be if you were raising a child that sort of has an expiration date already stamped on it. Today, the life expectancy of someone born with cystic fibrosis is 40 years old. That's amazing, considering that when Wells was born 15 years ago, it was 29. That's a huge jump, thanks to all the advances made in therapies available to CF patients. But quite honestly, 40 years old still doesn't make me very happy. Because let's be real, I'll be 50 this year. And what an amazing 10 years I have just had. And why would I want Wells to miss out on those 10 years? I have successfully watched my older 2 boys get accepted to colleges that they love, and I'm about to attend my first son's graduation. Those are major milestones. I have survived all of my kids learning how to drive. I'm watching my husband's business thrive. I'm about to celebrate 25 years of marriage. My family has traveled to some amazing places in the past 10 years. And how could I ever dream of shortchanging Wells of those 10 years? So Wells and I can remember the countless times we watched Bob Bell hold up this little bag of 2 little blue pills as Kaleido was being developed. It was always a teaser. And we would wonder in anticipation when our day would come. When would it be something so exciting for us, for Wells? And Bob and Wells sat one day on a couch in the lobby in Pinehurst during Ultimate Golf in the fall of 2014, and just shared the excitement of how much progress has been made since Wells' diagnosis 15 years ago. Even more so were their conversations about what is next in the research plans, the next phases that will take us to 2031. And Bob reminded Wells, and I quote, "You will only be 30 then." It was truly emotional to watch the enthusiasm in both my son's eyes and Bob's eyes as he shared such hope for our kids with cystic fibrosis. But you know, now it's my turn, because I get to hold up this box. Not the little bag of pills, but this box. This box has brought tears to so many in the CF community. This is Orkambi. And on July 2nd, 2015, the FDA approved Orkambi for approximately 8,000 people with the same genetic mutation as Wells. And this is what we've been waiting for since Wells' diagnosis. And 6 months ago, on August 27th, Wells took his first dose. Now I realize that no 2 CF patients are alike, and therefore everyone will react differently. But Wells is going to share with you now how this drug has really been changing his life.
It is so great to be here with you guys tonight. I really owe so much to each of you. The funds you help raise each year have allowed critical research, and for me, it's happening at just the perfect time. I mean, doesn't want things to change. On July 2nd, the news came that the FDA approved Orkambi for my mutation of CF. We had been waiting for this, but it didn't stop my mom from crying anyway. It truly was a celebration in our house. After a very lengthy discussion with my doctor to make sure this was the right decision for me, Orkambi arrived on my front porch on August 27th. I took my very first dose that night at a fancy steakhouse. This is what I had waited 15 years for. I am fully aware that this isn't a cure, but I want you to know what has happened to me in the last 6 months. First, let me say that I have been extremely lucky to have little to no side effects from Orkambi. Gaining and maintaining weight for a person with cystic fibrosis isn't always easy. Our bodies tend to struggle to grow and thrive. I've never really had a problem with my weight, but I haven't really been a big kid either. Remarkably, since starting Orkambi 6 months ago, I have gained an amazing 21 pounds. For 15 years, I've not been able to smell, which I think is common for a lot of cystic fibrosis patients because we are prone to sinus disease. Within the first week of starting Orkambi, I was able to start smelling. And then the very first thing I smelled that day was pepper. It was on my pork tenderloin, which I had also never liked before. Then I smelled Mr. Barbecue, which everyone can smell when you drive by it, but I'd never smelled that place before. I will tell you though, the very best smell is that of my mom cooking bacon in the morning. I would imagine that there's clearly a correlation to my weight gain with the fact that I cannot smell when I'm eating. So let's talk about salt. CF kids pour salt on everything. Our bodies don't absorb salt, and therefore we need it much more than others, and in turn we just crave it. We've noticed that now I don't even use the salt shaker. My family now doesn't hesitate to pick up a french fry off my plate. About a month after taking Orkambi, my mom just asked me how I was feeling, and I realized I couldn't answer her. I truly didn't know how to explain what I wanted to say, but I tried, and this is what I told her. When I take a breath, it is like the air won't stop coming. Well, that stopped her in her tracks, and she had to analyze it. Then it all made sense. I was taking my first real normal breaths ever. I just didn't know what they felt like. All of this sounds amazing, and I promise you it is, but it has come with sacrifices. I am still a 15-year-old kid. Who wants to do less therapy and take less pills. I've had to increase my amount of pills each day by 6 more. I still get sick. Last fall I started to get a lung infection. But the really great news is that after 2 days on oral antibiotics, I felt immediately better, which never happens to most kids with CF. And the thought of a hospital stay or IV antibiotics were not an option. I won't kid you, I have good days and my bad days. I've had to accept that daily treatments are things that I have to do, kind of like eating breakfast. Cystic fibrosis is a very demanding and frustrating disease. Therapies and medications take a lot of time away from my friends and my fun. But having cystic fibrosis really makes me want to experience my life that I have. I want to thank you for truly making a difference in my life and many others with cystic fibrosis and letting me share my story with all of you.
As well as cystic fibrosis where it is today. It has the potential to possibly eradicate or reduce the Pseudomonas that is invading and scarring Wells's lungs every day. I hope that it will also attack the Stenotrophomonas, the Aspergillus, and the MRSA that have taken hold of his lungs too. This drug has a very strong possibility to help keep Wells out of the hospital and free from PICC lines and IV antibiotics. So I don't use the term giddy very often. It just really isn't in my vocabulary. But I truly get giddy when I talk to someone and tell them the differences in Wells since starting this drug. I mean, what CF patient does gain 21 pounds in 6 months? How exciting is it to hear your CF son tell you that he can really breathe? And not be able to explain to you how or why. Or have him ask you what that smell is. And I love calling my Tara at Vertex with all my updates after clinic appointments because they're so good all the time. And I think she and her team deserve to know. I just get teary-eyed when someone new wants to know how the new drug is working for Wells. So this box, it's a great start. It's a great start for Wells' 4 years of high school, and we're very hopeful that this will be life-changing for Wells, improving his quality of life and increasing his life expectancy. I truly couldn't be on this journey without hope. My family couldn't be on this journey without hope. And now when I feel like I can stand here to talk, I can speak with so much more hope. Finally, I feel like I can walk a tad bit lighter and see the future finally a little more clear, and hope with even more hope than I ever really felt possible since we started this journey 15 years ago. A couple weeks ago, Wells had his quarterly clinic here at UNC. And his nurse Jennifer and Wells and I were just finishing up the appointment at a little social time, and we had somewhat of a personal conversation. And she bluntly asked Wells, "How do you do it? How do you walk in here every time with a big smile on your face? Like you're always so happy to see us, when we ask so much of you. In fact, we ask more of you than most of our patients." Wells looked at her and he said, "Because I have hope." And I couldn't have been more prouder of him at that moment. He proceeded to tell her about an English paper he had just written the previous week, simply titled Hope. I swear I'm not making this up, this really did happen. It was just too close. And let me quote you a couple of my favorite lines from his paper. He said, "When I hear the scientists speak about all the new advancements and upcoming drugs, it's hard to not be excited. And to think that none of this could be accomplished without people like them just fills my body with hope. I I know we will cure cystic fibrosis one day. With this group of people, it's almost impossible not to. He then wrote, whenever I'm doing my therapy or in the hospital, I just think to myself, one day all of this will be gone. That's what keeps me going and gives me hope and hope. So you all give us hope. And without the support of each of you, the work of the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, as well as this unbelievable medical team, the scientists, we wouldn't have the hope we have. Our family is so very, very grateful. But, there's always a but. We're not there. There's so much more to be done. We've made great and amazing progress, and we can't continue without the vital funds to continue this research. We have to have a treatment or a pill for every single individual with cystic fibrosis. My heart breaks every single day for my dear friends who aren't experiencing my giddiness with Orkambi, or whose children aren't eligible for Orkambi, or who've already lost their children with cystic fibrosis. So you will be limited for the cure tonight. You won't be bidding on trips or gifts, but you'll be bidding on the gift of life, gift of life. I personally challenge each of you to give as much as you can in honor of your loved ones, in honor of those you know who are fighting cystic fibrosis, or in memory of those who have fought a very, very courageous battle in medicine. Thank you.